Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Q&A session. Okay, so let's get started. And I just wanted to let you know I'm now also on Odyssey, which is library, pretty much LBRY or ODYSEE.com, which is the new upcoming, video sharing website. Their app is going to be out soon. It's very new, so it's still going to be coming in for Odyssey. So anyway, the first question is from Rose Modi 2. Why do you say D9 is the most important or important than D1? Well, we know that D9 is based on D1 and wouldn't exist without D1. Okay. So, simple way of looking at this, when it comes to your life, when it comes to what your achievements are, what your desires are you important or your mother is important? Are you important or your father is important? Are you important or your ancestors are important? Now, this is a very subjective question, right? Because on one way, we are actually dealing with the curses and the benefits of our ancestors. We do deal with certain karmic imbalances of our parents' chart. But we are the offspring. We now have our own destiny and karma to fulfill. Besides, all the other things are happening. So just like you said, one won't exist without the other. You won't exist without your mother, but still you exist. You have your own independence. You have your own way of looking at life. That's what the Navamsha chart becomes. So if the birth chart is the parent, without which you wouldn't exist, the physical element of the planets, their alignments, their energies, Navamsha shows the independence that comes from that birth chart. So you cannot, ignore one. So because ignoring Navamsha in a way is like the abortion of the birth chart, So that's that. Then, geez, I took so many pictures before this thing that I have to go so far out. Then the next question is from Shriya. What are the combination placement of a planet in the house and nakshatra in a horoscope for chances of winning the lottery? Well, that would be 5th Lord in the 8th house, Parivartan between 5th and 8th house, 11th Lord in Parivartan Yoga with the 8th house. So that's the first basic combinations. And then nakshatras like Dhanishta, Rohini, Jyeshtha, Falguni, Pushya, Uttara Falguni, Revati, Uttara Bhadrapada. These are then the nakshatras that becomes about prosperity, wealth, and even sudden wealth, like Jyeshtha's sudden wealth. So this is the combinations, but then you can't ignore the divisional chart, which is a perfect segue for this question, because then you have to look at the Ekadasamsha, the D11 chart of gain. And in Ekadasamsha, especially the Ayar one, if the planet that are creating these combinations in the birth chart, their Mahanantra Dasha is running, or majority of planets are sitting on one of these planets. And then in the Ekadasamsha, you see the placement of these planets showing like Dhan Yoga. Then you know that there's going to be some beneficial, some prosperity coming suddenly to an individual's life. Okay. Then, of course, I have to go 20 pages previously. It's from Mr. Trust 15. My question is, what does it mean to have Rahu Mars conjunction in the 9th house Gemini for D10 chart? You are going to argue and fights with your mentors. You're going to argue and fights with your managers and bosses at work. The relationship with people who are running your work behind the scenes, who are running the company behind the scenes, you will always have conflict with them. And your tongue, your vocal skills related to these people becomes very brash, very cutthroat. And the thing is, the reason why it's going to happen, because you're going to experience that from them. They themselves are going to have that particular, type of style of communicating with you, which is, again, it's not your fault or their fault. It's just everybody's paying, their previous life karmas here. So that's what it is. Then is from Pranya Verma. Cancer rising Navamsha is a blessing of which Devi? Saraswati. Then, actually, no, I'm sorry. It's Parvati or Saraswati. I believe it is Parvati. Not Saraswati, Parvati. Then, Lubna 11. I've read people experience online about their Ketu Mahadasha, and they're all extremely sad and hard to go through. Would you say that can be applied to everyone, because that's just the effect of Ketu? If not, what would you say the best position for Ketu to get good Mahadasha? Ketu could be in any house, 1 through 12, and it can give good results or bad results. Why? Because Ketu will always give results of its sign dispositor and nakshatra dispositor. So if Ketu is in the 8th house, okay, and I think my kids are coming. They're looking for grandma. So if Ketu is in the 8th house and Ketu is in, let's say, the sign of Scorpio, and Mars is in the 10th house, and Ketu, let's say, is in the nakshatra of Jyeshtha, which is Mercury, and Mercury, is in the 3rd house in Gemini. Now that's settled. So Mercury and Mars become very strong, and Ketu is in the 8th house. So obviously shows in Ketu's Dasha one will attain sudden gains. Again, segue into this question about lottery winning, right? This could be a place of getting sudden promotion, sudden job, transformation, gaining through experiences, getting through marketing. One may even become an athlete, fighter, sportsman during this Ketu period. So that's what that is. Then Lubna. And then also you got to understand with Ketu represents that energy of 7. Okay? Ketu represents the energy of 7. So if, let's say, you were born on the 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, okay, or 9th, like your date of birth is this, then it becomes a very hard dasha. Why? Because such people born on this day are very social. They love friends. They love to be around people. They love to intermingle with people. And Ketu said, no. For these 7 years, I want you to focus on yourself. I want you to focus on who you are and try to understand yourself through solitude. And this is where these people then feel like things are just going completely haywire, because whatever friend circle they have left, moved, fights, arguments, or this person moves, and so they feel like, oh my God, this Ketu Dasha, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a prison. Where if you're born on like a 6th, 7th, 8th date, then such people will actually find this to be one of their best dashas, because they actually finally get the chance to have an introspect on who they are as an individual. Next question is from Sneha Rajan. How can a bodyless Rahu signifies obsession, lust, desire, and a headless Ketu indicate attaining victory, flag roots? Like what I mean to ask is for Rahu body is necessary to fulfill what it signifies, and a head is necessary to attain any victory. Okay, I am not getting your question, but I guess what you're trying to say is that how is it that a headless, Rahu can signify obsession and victory and this and that? Well, here's the thing. If you were to just have a head, and it's a living, breathing head, and there's nothing, it's just space. Okay, so if I fed you, do you have an esophagus to make you feel like, okay, you're filled now? The stomach giving the signal to the brain, you're filled now. I can keep feeding you from this point, and I wouldn't be even getting out of the limits of the city before you may even pass away. If let's say your average age is 80, 85, 90, to pass away. The food that I will give you wouldn't even pass 5 stories worth of food in the vicinity of the city. And then you can think about the country, the oceans, the whole planet, and then you have space. Whether you call it a solar system or just vast space, you will never be full no matter how much food I give you. That's what Rahu is. Rahu is never fulfilled. This is why obsession is something you want something over and over and over again. You just are obsessed about something. So this is why Rahu represents, obsession and lust and desire, because when you eat, you don't feel that need of being fulfilled. You're like, give me more, give me more. And I want this one, and I want that, and I want that, and I want that. While Ketu is something which is already fulfilled. Ketu is like, I have all the organs, I have the esophagus, I have hands and legs. I'm good. Okay, I'm good. What I don't have is the head that can ascend me to God realization, because you need that head's consciousness. You need those chakra of the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, and then the crown chakra in order to really have God realization. This is why Ketu people are always fulfilled. And Rahu is like, yes, I already know all this. I need to fulfill this body. Or I need to fulfill my needs here. Then you have Colby Davis. I've tried asking the same question yesterday, even when I paid for the comment, but wasn't sure if you see it. I hope you pick up my question. What does the D7 chart indicates? Children versus D5 chart. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Okay, I remember you. And apparently what happened is, I did a live premiere of my video with the Q&A. And I think you thought that it was a live video. So there's a difference between doing a live premiere on YouTube versus me actually doing a live session where I can see exactly what you're doing. So you want to be careful of that. You don't want, sure, I'll take your money, but you don't want to give me money or anybody when they're just doing a live premiere, because it feels like it's live, but it's just a recorded thing, just going forward without the ability to rewind. Or actually you can rewind, you just can't forward. So D7 versus the D5. So here's the thing. How are children created in the world? Children are created by unionship of two people. Unionship of the man and woman. So it is that unionship we see, which is the 7th house, which then turns into D7 chart. That only through union will you be able to get an offspring. At least for the next 20 years, I'm guessing, maybe Earlier, you may not have to worry about this part, but mainly even from here eons forward, you're still gonna have children and babies being created by the interactions of man and woman. This is why the D7 chart is known as D7, because it represents the union. Okay, like for example, D9. Why isn't D9 D7? Because D9 represents the bhagya, the luck, the fortune. You become very fortunate when you get to experience marriage. Why? Because you are paying your biggest karma off as a soul. The soul's job, the soul's only goal. Soul does not care about $1 trillion, $1 billion, any gadgets. Soul cares about paying off its karma as quickly as possible. And so this is why ninth division is given to the D9 chart, because soul is lucky enough to then get married, whether it's to the worst enemy or to fulfill some desire from past life, to finish that karma off and move on. This is how these things are looked at. Then next one is from Amistest. You said people get married to their enemies of past life. Is it the case always, or do some people get to marry a past life beloved, as you described in your video of Venus and Anuradha? No, yes. Most of the time, it is you're paying off a karma with someone. That's what marriage clearly signifies mainly. And it is the worst enemy in this life or some other life that you have. The only way to pay off that karma to them or them to you is to live under the same roof, to be around each other 24/7. And this way, whether you fight, compromise, give your duty, commitment into that, which will help pay those debts off that you put upon this person in some past life by doing something wrong to them. This is why you see so much friction in the marriage, so many fights in the marriage. Then you have where two lovers are about to get married. Earthquake happens, the roof falls on them, both pass away. Or two lovers, are about to get married, and they want to get married. One is forced away by the parents to marry someone else, and the other one's just left alone, and they're so sad. Their whole life is just ruined, and they keep thinking about that. Or just the day of the marriage, the person passes away from some sudden issue. So now you have created that desire that, God, I wish I could have had you. And throughout life, you carry that in your subconscious. Yeah, you may get remarried again, but you never forget the person that you were about to get married to. So now, once you pass away in that life, now your soul, tries to find out, okay, how can I get this person back? Because it's unfulfilled. And I got to fulfill this in order for me to find God. Either give me a guru or give me my, unfinished desire. So if you find a guru, then you don't have to worry about that. But most of the time, you are fulfilling then by maybe the 6th life or the 20th life from when that happened. Now that soul and you come again and try to fulfill that bond again. So yes, those things happen. Then Louisvish Pursawani, what is the general effect of Ketu in the 12th house in Sagittarius, which is being aspected by Jupiter? I mean, you're trying to go towards God realization. You're trying to go towards, wanting to understand God, philosophy, something higher than yourself in an isolated place. And it shows that when you go to some faraway monastery, some foreign lands monastery, you're going to meet your guru there. And it obviously also shows certain people who may actually become attorneys and lawyers for either religious organization, or environmental organization, children's organization. So these are the things that are signified with this. But main thing is this, that a person's past life aim, which is coming into this life, is to seek a guru and seek God. Guru could even be a pastor, a rabbi, an imam, somebody. They become fully engrossed in spiritual world more than the material world. Then you have Amistha 7. Should we look into classics when learning astrology? For example, in classics, Moon ran away with Jupiter's wife, but in astrology, Moon and Jupiter are considered good together, making Gajkesari Yoga. Okay? And giving contentment. Please clarify. So, beautiful observation. If you can learn these particular, classical stories, you'll understand what is, going to be happening with certain planets. Because yes, Moon took away Tara, the wife of Jupiter, because Jupiter was not paying attention to his wife. He was more engrossed in the kingdom and teaching people and giving lectures, and the wife felt alone. Wife felt unfulfilled. And the Moon was this handsome, beautiful man that just came and made Tara realize, like, wow, you're the one that, I'm just awestruck by. Thank you for giving attention to me. So why is it that they're friends? It's not really friends. You got to understand, Gajkesari Yoga. It is a yoga. Because from original Aries ascendant, Moon rules the 4th house with Cancer and has Mool Trikon ownership of Taurus, which is all about possessions, wealth, fixed assets. Back in the days, it used to be horses and elephants, cows. Now it's cars, vehicles, gold, jewelry. And Jupiter is 9th house of luck and bhagya, the rise of luck. So when they're together, it shows luck to achieve fixed assets. And because of the fact Jupiter is the highest of the gurus, okay? And Jupiter knows that in order for Jupiter, which is Jivakarka, the significator of life, the pranic force, in order for Jupiter's manifestation of life to happen on Earth, it cannot happen without the Moon. And so Jupiter have to create friendships with Moon and to help Moon move in a certain way, in a certain distance where life can flourish on Earth, so Jupiter can fulfill its duty. And I don't think you will find this in any basic classically written thing unless you go to like old books in Tamil Nadu and south of India. Some of these books are hidden, and this is where, and I've only heard these things, so I can't even tell you that I have the proof here that this is what happened. And I wouldn't say you should believe me unless you find this particular fact, but it is these negotiations that take place. And because Jupiter is the highest, it realizes whatever happened with Moon and Tara, it was Jupiter's own karma. It was on Jupiter's ignorance. It was Jupiter's own neglect. So in a way, then Jupiter thanks that, okay, thank you for taking care of Tara. And because Mercury came into the picture, being the son of Tara and Moon, Jupiter simply had to accept not only Mercury, but also Moon as a family. So as a family, you will never hate the family member. Okay. Then, Sarafina. Does North Node placement can predict a person's career? For example, if a person's North Node is in Scorpio in the 4th house. So, if you really want to know something about career through one planet, more than anything, just look at Saturn. Saturn's nakshatra placement. Make it even easier on yourself. If you just want to be one of those people who wants to do like a survey and research, Saturn and nakshatra. Somehow, some way, a person's career will be related to it. But Rahu is not necessarily the career. Rahu represents how you are expressing yourself in that career. So if let's say Saturn is in Rohini, beauty, fashion, arts, creativity, performing arts, dealing with vehicles, dealing with restaurants, food, is something that you may be doing. And Rahu in Scorpio would probably simply represents, if you're in some kind of a dramatic arts, then you may do very intense, deep psychological roles. If you're, dealing with comfort, beauty, arts, you could be a porn producer. You could be dealing with something which is like hidden, secretive, away from, the social norms of society. You could be in, dealing with other people's wealth and money, which Rahu can signify in Scorpio. But it really shows that whatever Saturn is saying here, you will express that in a very intense, secretive manner. And you will get jealous and possessive about those things that Saturn is making you do. Like, so if you're in a top position, in some hotel business, Rahu here in Scorpio will show you will do whatever it takes to keep your position, which means even playing political manipulation. Then, so Millie 57, what makes one not worthy of studying astrology? Or why should someone not study astrology? Well, again, this is a very subjective question, because I can say I think everybody should study astrology, because at least this is like the most basic form of study of science in a way. But if you're going to misuse it, then you shouldn't study it. So if, let's say, you're able to find out someone's weakness, what this person's weakness is, and you use that weakness against them to achieve something, yes, you shouldn't study astrology. If instead of motivating someone, helping someone out, you're only pointing out their flaws and all the misfortunes that are coming in their life, then yeah, you shouldn't do astrology. So again, it becomes quite subjective, how you want to look at it. Then Rosanna Rees, what denotes to a past life spouse in a chart? Well, what is past life? Ketu, right? So Ketu in the 7th, Ketu conjunct the 7th Lord, Ketu conjunct Venus, Ketu conjunct the Dhara Karka, which is the planet with the lowest degree. Either in the birth or Navamsha definitely shows that there is a very heavy, strong past life karma that you're going to be fulfilling with a person as your spouse. So it may not be somebody completely new and random that is coming. That can also happen. It really shows that you, not them, you have to pay some karma off to this person. Perhaps once you get married, you'll have to work twice as hard or you'll have to work long hours to fulfill this person's desire. or once you get married, this person may have to travel for their work, and because you're so deeply in love with them, it'll hurt you. Like, God, when are you coming back? You'll be talking to them, at night. Oh, I miss you. This just hurts. And this will be a consistency, let's say, for a long time, 10, 15 years before things settle down. But that's what happened because you probably ignored that person in past life. You traveled, did your stuff, and they felt the same way. And now you're really here to experience that. Because maybe in past life, that person, because they missed you so much, they took their own life. So Ketu here represents something very heavy with the past life. Okay. But again, even if Ketu is not there, most of the time you are, making a deal with somebody from past life to come in this life to be your spouse. Okay. So guys, this was my Q&A for this week. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below and make sure you hit the bell button so you don't miss these type of videos. And remember, I'm on Odyssey as well. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.